If you're looking for a desktop CNC router that's capable but doesn't break the bank, this could be the machine for you. This is the Genmitsu 3018 Prover V2 CNC router, and in this video I'm going to be putting it through its paces to see if it slaps or if it craps. Let's get started. Like I said, this is the Genmitsu 3018 Prover V2 CNC router. Nice, catchy name, but essentially it means that this is the upgraded version of the 3018 Prover, which in turn is an upgraded version of the 3018 Pro. This machine gets its name from its work area, so the 3018 translates to a 30 centimeter by 18 centimeter work area, and the V2 also has a slightly taller Z-axis, allowing for 40 millimeters of travel. The machine arrived incredibly well packaged, and I threw one of my Crocs on there for scale, but definitely a small, easy to handle box, even for someone like me who hasn't had time to hit the gym in months. Inside, all the components are protected by foam cutouts, and all the small parts like nuts and bolts are organized in a little case with labels, which is really nice. It comes with the usual 775 10,000 RPM spindle, and the spindle bracket can also hold an optional laser module. The side plates are aluminum on this model, which should be a nice upgrade over the Bakelite ones for the older versions, and the controller module comes in a nice protective case with all the inputs and outputs clearly labeled. And other than some really crappy engraving bits, which we'll talk about later, the last thing in the box is the pre-assembled base, this time with a scale grid aluminum work surface instead of the T-track on the previous models. The last thing to mention are those 5mm acrylic baffles, which are supposed to help contain some of the chips. This kit comes semi-assembled, so overall it only took about 30 minutes to finish up, including cable management, which I accidentally forgot to record. The instructions are very clear, all the cables are labeled, and there's only really 2 parts. Compared to the original 3018 Pro, this one was so much easier to put together, so all in all, I'd give it a 10 out of 10 for ease of assembly. And after installing the acrylic baffles, assembly is done and we can get our first full look at this machine. Some things to note before I start testing it out. Overall, the machine is about 37 centimeters by 30 centimeters and 25 centimeters tall, which for you Americans is about 3 Costco hot dogs by 2 Costco hot dogs and 3 beer cans tall. This version has a different type of spoil board too. Rather than the T-track on the previous models, it comes with a scale grid aluminum work surface. It also came with an E-stop, a Z-probe, and several 1/8" V-bits to get you started, but as we'll find out later, they were super cheap, which I guess isn't really surprising. Most of the body is made of aluminum, including aluminum side plates, which should be a nice improvement in rigidity over the Bakelite ones in the older version. The spindle mount is still plastic, which is unfortunate, but honestly these 775 spindles aren't known for their rigidity anyways, so the spindle mount isn't going to change that. All the axes are powered by NEMA 17 motors with lead screws running along feed rods. The feed rods do have a little bit of flex to them, and I think for almost the same amount of money they could have gone with linear rails to improve the rigidity. But I think that's enough of an overview, so let's get started cutting. The first cut I did was just a simple V carving in some MDF, but you'll see here in a moment, after getting the workpiece clamped down and setting the Z height with the super handy Z probe, the bit couldn't actually reach all the way down to the MDF. All of the axes have end stops on them, which is super nice, but in this case it actually prevented the bit from reaching all the way down to the workpiece. You can adjust the spindle in the bracket a little bit, but in this case I just ended up adding another piece of MDF underneath it, and we were off to the races. And as you can see, the machine had absolutely no problem cutting through the MDF, so I probably could have sped it up a little bit, but as it was my first cut, I wanted to take it slow. For my second cut, I used a flat end mill to cut out a little bottle opener in some 10mm acrylic. It doesn't look like the cut's going that well because it's an upcut bit with that protective paper kind of getting kicked up, but overall it actually went better than I expected. I think I may have gone a little bit too deep with the cuts because on the contour operation I got a little bit of chatter. The chatter wasn't too bad, so I went ahead and let it finish the cut, and in the end I had a pretty cool bottle opener that, well, didn't work at all. doesn't work. Oh, almost. It's not thin enough to get in there, but it worked. Despite me doing a bad job designing the bottle opener, it actually turned out pretty good, and the chatter was definitely visible in some of the edges, but that's nothing that some setting updates couldn't fix. For my next cut, I did another pocket operation in some walnut, and this cut went really well. I didn't notice any chatter the entire time, and the result was really good. The only problem is that you can see some tear out, but that's because I was using an up-cut end mill instead of a compression bit or a down-cut end mill. Nothing that a little bit of sandpaper won't take care of, so overall I'd call this cut a success. I wanted to show this because you can kind of see how much flex there is in the actual spindle bracket, which isn't too surprising given the cheap spindle, the plastic spindle bracket, and then the flexible feed rods, but for a machine of this price range, it's actually not too bad. And I think it's important to keep the price of the machine in mind when you're doing a review like this. This is a entry-level machine, and it's priced to reflect that. In any case, I swapped out the flat end mill for a V-carving bit and wanted to do some 3D relief carving. And I think that's where this machine really shines. It's very precise, and the results looked awesome. I did 2 different cuts, a little Mandalorian coin and a lion head, and both, like I said, turned out looking really good. I think with just a little bit of sanding, you'd have a really nice way to add some sort of detail to whatever projects you're working on. And just to do one last cut in the walnut, I switched back to my end mill and cut out this little gear. And I had a little bit of tear out from that upcut end mill again, but nothing that a little sanding can't take care of. Now, the very last thing that I wanted to test was to see if I can use this machine to cut out some circuit boards on copper blanks. So I switched back to that V-carving bit and immediately snapped the tip off of it. I was being fairly conservative with the cutting parameters here. I think the real problem is that it's just a cheap bit that came with the machine. So I decided to give it another shot, and I swapped in a new bit, and it was going a lot better the second time, and then it snapped that bit too. I think this machine can engrave custom circuit boards if that's what you want to use it for, but you're going to need to get nicer bits than what came with it. I think this is a very capable machine, keeping in mind that it's under $300. If I had to give it a rating out of 10, I'd probably give it about an 8.5. I don't really have too many complaints about this machine. I think you could make it a little bit more rigid with some linear rails and maybe swapping out that plastic spindle bracket with an aluminum one, but you can't really do too much to improve the 775 spindle's rigidity. But speaking of rigidity, I am excited that they upgraded the side plates from Bakelite to aluminum. I don't really have an opinion on the acrylic baffles. I don't think this machine really throws off enough chips for them to be worth it, plus they fly off the front and back anyways, but at least they look cool. In the end, this machine is super easy to assemble, it's even easier to use, and it's got end stops on every axis, and it's extremely lightweight. So overall, a great option for beginners. If that sounds like something you might be interested in, I'll have a link to this specific machine down in the description below. Anyways, that's it for this video. At the very least, I hope you found it helpful, and if not, then please leave a comment down below with anything I should have covered. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.